The late afternoon sun cast long, skeletal shadows across the parched fields of Oakhaven Farm, a stark contrast to the vibrant life it once held. Dust, the ever-present companion of forgotten dreams, danced in the air, each particle a miniature testament to the slow, agonizing decay that had gripped the land. It wasn't merely the drought, though the cracked earth bore witness to its relentless assault. It was something deeper, a rot that had taken root in the very foundation of the family who called this place home. Ethan stood at the edge of the property, the rusty barbed wire a symbolic barrier between him and the life he had always known. He watched as a realtor's sign, freshly hammered into the ground, swayed ominously in the wind, its stark white a jarring intrusion on the landscape's muted palette. The words, "for sale," felt like a brand seared onto his soul. Oakhaven, the farm that had been in his family for generations, was about to be lost, not to nature, not to economic hardship, but to the cold, calculated indifference of his own family. Just weeks ago, the reading of his father's will had been a sterile, impersonal affair, conducted in the hushed confines of a lawyer's office. The words echoed in Ethan's mind, each syllable a hammer blow. "To my children, save and accept Ethan." He had been excised, deemed unworthy, his years of labor, his unwavering dedication to the land, dismissed with a few strokes of a pen. The reasons remained shrouded in a fog of unspoken resentments and long-held grievances, a tangled web of familial discord that he couldn't entirely unravel. The sting of betrayal was compounded by the knowledge that his siblings, driven by greed and a short-sighted desire for immediate profit, were eager to sell. They saw Oakhaven as nothing more than an asset, a means to an end. They had no connection to the land, no understanding of the sacrifices it demanded, no appreciation for the legacy it represented. To them, it was just dirt. To Ethan, it was everything. He remembered his childhood summers, spent running barefoot through the fields, the scent of freshly tilled earth filling his lungs. He recalled his father, a man of few words but immense strength, teaching him the rhythms of the land, the delicate balance between nurturing and reaping. He saw the ghosts of harvests past, the vibrant colors of autumn, the quiet promise of spring. Oakhaven was more than just a farm. It was a living, breathing entity, woven into the fabric of his being. Now, strangers would walk these fields, their footsteps echoing where his fathers had trod. They would see only potential profit, ignoring the stories etched into the weathered barn walls, the whispers carried on the wind through the ancient oak trees. The thought was unbearable. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of fiery orange and bruised purple, Ethan made a decision. He wouldn't let Oakhaven be sold. He wouldn't stand idly by while his family desecrated their heritage. He would fight, not with legal battles or public pronouncements, but with a quiet, unwavering resolve. He would reclaim what was rightfully his, not through inheritance, but through cunning, determination, and a deep, abiding love for the land. His plan was audacious, bordering on reckless. He would secretly acquire the farm, piece by painful piece, buying up the land before his siblings realized what he was doing. It was a clandestine operation, fraught with financial risk and emotional turmoil. He would have to navigate complex relationships, uncover hidden agendas, and confront the morality of his own actions. The journey would be long and arduous, filled with hushed phone calls under starry skies, tense negotiations in dimly lit rooms, and sleepless nights wrestling with doubt. He would be forced to make sacrifices, to compromise his values, to become someone he barely recognized. But the thought of Oakhaven falling into the wrong hands fueled his determination, pushing him forward even when the path ahead seemed impossibly steep. He knew that success was far from guaranteed. His siblings were shrewd and ruthless, and they wouldn't hesitate to crush him if they discovered his plan. But he had one advantage. They underestimated him. They saw him as the quiet, unassuming son, the one who always followed the rules. They didn't realize the fire that burned within him, the unwavering love for Oakhaven that would drive him to do whatever it took to protect it. As darkness enveloped the land, Ethan turned and walked away from the farm, his silhouette a lonely figure against the fading light. He carried with him the weight of broken promises, the sting of betrayal, and the unwavering determination to reclaim his birthright. The battle for Oakhaven had begun. Ethan's initial foray into his audacious scheme began not with grand gestures, but with meticulous planning. He spent weeks poring over county records, tracing the intricate web of property lines, easements, and mineral rights that crisscrossed Oakhaven. He needed to understand the land's true value, not just in terms of acreage, but also its potential for development, its water resources, and its strategic importance within the larger agricultural landscape. His first target wasn't a sprawling field or a prime piece of real estate. It was a seemingly insignificant parcel, a narrow strip of land that bordered the eastern edge of the farm. It was owned by a distant relative, a man named Silas, who had long ago abandoned farming for a life in the city. Silas had always been an outsider, a black sheep in the family, and Ethan sensed an opportunity to leverage that alienation. He approached Silas with a carefully crafted offer, one that appealed to his pragmatic nature. He presented the deal not as a sentimental gesture, but as a sound financial investment, an opportunity to unload a piece of land that was doing nothing but collecting dust. He spoke in the language of spreadsheets and profit margins, avoiding any mention of family history or emotional attachment. Silas, initially wary, was eventually swayed by Ethan's persuasive arguments. He saw the deal as a way to finally sever his ties to Oakhaven, to put the past behind him and move on with his life. He signed the papers without a second thought, unaware of the larger game Ethan was playing. With the first piece of the puzzle in place, Ethan felt a surge of cautious optimism. He had proven to himself that his plan was feasible, that he could outmaneuver his siblings and reclaim what was rightfully his. But he also knew that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, and he would need to be even more cunning and resourceful if he hoped to succeed. A critical aspect of Ethan's strategy involved understanding his siblings' motivations. He knew that they were driven by greed, but he also recognized their individual weaknesses and vulnerabilities. His sister Emily was impulsive and easily swayed by flattery. His brother David was cautious and risk-averse. He could use these traits to his advantage, playing them against each other and sowing seeds of doubt and suspicion. As an illustration, consider how Ethan used Emily's love of luxury against her. He subtly hinted at a potential buyer who was interested in developing Oakhaven into a high-end resort, knowing that the prospect of quick riches would appeal to her. He painted a picture of sprawling golf courses, opulent villas, and exclusive spas, knowing that she would be unable to resist the allure of such extravagance. Conversely, he played on David's fear of financial ruin. He spread rumors about the farm's declining profitability, exaggerating the impact of the drought and highlighting the rising costs of operation. He suggested that selling now, while the market was still favorable, was the only way to avoid a catastrophic loss. By manipulating his siblings' desires and fears, Ethan hoped to create a climate of uncertainty and distrust, making it easier for him to acquire the remaining pieces of Oakhaven without raising suspicion. It was a risky game, but he was willing to do whatever it took to protect the land he loved. However, Ethan also knew that he couldn't rely solely on deception and manipulation. He needed to find legitimate sources of funding to build a financial foundation that could support his audacious plan. He began exploring alternative investment opportunities, seeking out partnerships and ventures that could generate the capital he needed to buy back the farm. Consider his decision to invest in a local renewable energy project. He saw an opportunity to not only generate revenue, but also to demonstrate his commitment to sustainable agriculture, a cause that was gaining traction in the community. He partnered with a group of local farmers to build a solar farm on a portion of his land, generating clean energy and creating new jobs in the process. This venture not only provided him with a steady stream of income, but also enhanced his reputation as a responsible and forward-thinking landowner. It allowed him to portray himself as someone who was invested in the future of the community, not just clinging to the past. This image was crucial to his plan, as it helped to deflect suspicion and maintain the trust of his neighbors and business associates. Ethan's clandestine land acquisitions, while progressing slowly, demanded he cultivate a new persona, one of measured success, not desperate reclamation. He consciously adopted an air of detached prosperity, driving his father's old pickup less frequently, opting instead for a leased sedan that whispered of boardroom meetings rather than barnyards. This facade, however, required a delicate balancing act. He had to appear financially secure enough to warrant the interest of potential sellers, yet not so affluent as to arouse his siblings' suspicions about his sudden prosperity. Consider, for example, his interactions with Martha, a neighboring farmer whose land bordered Oakhaven's southern pasture. Martha, a woman hardened by decades of toil, possessed a keen understanding of the land's worth, both practical and sentimental. Approaching her with a mere monetary offer would have been futile, even insulting. Instead, Ethan engaged her in conversations about the changing agricultural landscape, the challenges facing small family farms, and the importance of preserving their heritage. He listened intently to her stories of hardship and resilience, acknowledging her deep connection to the land. Only after establishing this rapport did he broach the subject of purchasing her property. He framed it not as a simple transaction, but as an opportunity for Martha to secure her future, to retire comfortably without having to worry about the vagaries of the market. He presented her with a comprehensive financial plan, outlining how the sale would benefit her in the long run. Martha, impressed by his thoughtfulness and his genuine concern for her well-being, eventually agreed to sell, but only on the condition that Ethan promised to maintain the land's agricultural integrity. That pledge became a guiding principle for Ethan. He recognized that his mission wasn't just about reclaiming Oakhaven, but also about preserving its legacy, about honoring the values that his father had instilled in him. He began implementing sustainable farming practices, investing in water conservation measures, and exploring new technologies that could enhance the land's productivity. Furthermore, Ethan's transformation extended beyond his business dealings. He started attending community events, volunteering his time for local causes, and actively participating in civic affairs. He wanted to demonstrate that he was not just a wealthy landowner, but also a responsible and engaged member of society. This newfound civic engagement, however, masked a growing internal conflict. The weight of his deception, the constant need to maintain his facade, began to take a toll on his conscience. He found himself increasingly isolated, unable to share his true feelings with anyone. Adding another crucial layer, the emotional strain manifested in recurring nightmares, vivid replays of his father's disappointed gaze at the reading of the will. The dreams served as a constant reminder of the family rift and the questionable means he was employing to bridge it. He started questioning whether the ends justified the means, whether reclaiming Oakhaven was worth sacrificing his integrity. Conversely, the very act of working the land, of nurturing its growth, provided a sense of solace. He found himself spending more and more time in the fields, tending to the crops, feeling the earth beneath his feet. It was in these moments of solitude that he felt closest to his father, as if he could still hear his voice whispering in the wind. Now, consider how this applies when you face ethical quandaries, where your actions, however noble the intent, tread on moral ground. Can the anticipated good outcome truly absolve the questionable path taken? Another crucial layer is the burgeoning relationship with a local historian, a woman named Clara, who was documenting the history of the region's farming families. Clara, a perceptive and insightful observer, sensed that Ethan was carrying a heavy burden. She gently encouraged him to open up, to share his story, not as a confession, but as a means of understanding his own motivations and reconciling with his past. Although he couldn't reveal the specifics of his plan without jeopardizing everything, he found himself confiding in her about his family's history, his father's legacy, and his deep connection to Oakhaven. Clara's empathetic listening and insightful questions helped Ethan gain a new perspective on his situation, allowing him to see beyond the immediate goal of reclaiming the farm and to focus on the deeper issues of family, forgiveness, and redemption. As Ethan's web of influence subtly expanded, a critical juncture presented itself: the auction of his paternal grandmother's antique furniture collection. These heirlooms, carefully preserved, represented more than mere material possessions. They embodied tangible links to Oakhaven's history, each piece whispering tales of generations past. His siblings, viewing the auction as another avenue to extract capital from the estate, anticipated a swift and profitable liquidation. Ethan, however, saw an opportunity to subtly reclaim fragments of his heritage, to safeguard pieces of Oakhaven's soul from scattering to the winds. He approached the auction with a dual strategy. Publicly, he maintained a low profile, bidding sparingly and without fanfare, creating the impression of limited interest. Privately, he enlisted the aid of a discerning antique dealer, a man renowned for his appreciation of historical artifacts and his discretion in acquiring them. This dealer, operating as Ethan's proxy, strategically outmaneuvered rival bidders, securing several key pieces that held particular significance to the Oakhaven narrative. Consider, for instance, the acquisition of a weathered oak rocking chair, a piece that had graced the farmhouse porch for over a century. Ethan remembered his grandmother, a woman of unwavering strength and quiet wisdom, spending countless hours in that chair, watching over the fields, her presence a reassuring constant in a world of relentless change. To allow that chair to fall into the hands of strangers would have felt like a profound betrayal. The auction's aftermath, however, triggered unforeseen repercussions. Emily, known for her sharp intuition and her possessive streak, noticed the dealer's consistent success in acquiring the most coveted items. Her suspicion, fueled by long-held resentments, quickly turned into conviction. Ethan was manipulating the auction, secretly funneling money to reclaim the family's treasures. Consequently, she confronted Ethan with her accusations, her voice laced with venom and disbelief. She accused him of hypocrisy, of pretending to be indifferent to the family's affairs while secretly plotting to undermine their decisions. Ethan, caught off guard by her directness, struggled to maintain his composure. He denied her accusations, but his evasiveness only served to further inflame her suspicions. In the crucible of this confrontation, Ethan recognized a crucial truth. His actions, however well-intentioned, were creating a chasm between him and his siblings, deepening the wounds that had already fractured their family. He began to question whether reclaiming Oakhaven was worth the cost of alienating his own kin. Contrasting with this familial discord was the burgeoning friendship with Clara, the local historian. She provided Ethan with a unique perspective on his situation, reminding him that Oakhaven's history extended far beyond his immediate family. The land itself held stories that transcended personal grievances, narratives of resilience, adaptation, and community. Clara introduced Ethan to the descendants of former tenant farmers who had worked the land generations ago, individuals who possessed a deep understanding of Oakhaven's ecological and social significance. These encounters broadened Ethan's understanding of his responsibility, shifting his focus from mere ownership to stewardship. He began to see himself not as the sole proprietor of Oakhaven, but as a guardian of its legacy, entrusted with preserving its history for future generations. As another crucial layer, he decided to document Oakhaven's history, meticulously researching its past, collecting oral histories from local residents, and archiving historical documents and photographs. He envisioned creating a museum on the property, a place where visitors could learn about the land's rich heritage and the contributions of the people who had shaped its identity. This endeavor, he hoped, would not only honor the past, but also foster a sense of community and connection among the disparate factions that had become entangled in Oakhaven's fate. As Ethan navigated the intricacies of his plan, a revelation dawned. Oakhaven wasn't just a place, but a living testament to cycles of renewal and decay, mirroring his own internal struggles. The very soil beneath his feet held echoes of past triumphs and tribulations, a silent chronicle of lives intertwined with the land. Instead of solely focusing on reclaiming ownership, he commenced to comprehending the intricate ecosystem he was striving to preserve. He began consulting with agronomists and soil scientists, keen to understand the land's composition, its vulnerabilities, and its potential for regeneration. He discovered that years of conventional farming practices had depleted the soil's nutrients, leaving it vulnerable to erosion and disease. He also learned about the importance of biodiversity, the delicate interplay between plants, animals, and microorganisms that sustained the farm's vitality. With this awareness, Ethan initiated a series of regenerative farming practices, embracing methods that prioritized soil health, water conservation, and ecological balance. He introduced cover crops to enrich the soil, implemented no-till farming techniques to minimize disturbance, and created buffer zones to protect waterways from pollution. These efforts not only improved the land's productivity, but also fostered a sense of harmony between humanity and nature. In parallel, a chance encounter with a retired cartographer sparked a new avenue of exploration. This seasoned mapmaker, captivated by Ethan's commitment to Oakhaven, offered to create a detailed historical map of the farm, tracing its evolution over centuries. The map revealed layers of past land use, forgotten pathways, and long-vanished structures, providing a tangible link to the people who had shaped Oakhaven's landscape. Consider how these historical insights can inform present decisions. The map revealed the location of an ancient spring, a source of fresh water that had sustained the farm for generations. Ethan, recognizing the spring's importance, took steps to protect it from contamination, ensuring that it would continue to provide for Oakhaven's needs. Dovetailing with these endeavors, Ethan's relationship with Clara deepened. He evolving beyond a mere friendship into a shared intellectual pursuit. They spent countless hours poring over historical documents, deciphering faded letters, and piecing together the fragments of Oakhaven's past. Clara's archival skills illuminated the lives of ordinary individuals who had toiled on the land, their struggles and triumphs woven into the fabric of Oakhaven's identity. What's more, Ethan stumbled upon a cache of old photographs, portraits of families who had lived and worked on the farm for generations. These images, frozen in time, captured the essence of Oakhaven's spirit, their faces etched with the wisdom of experience, their eyes reflecting the hopes and dreams of a bygone era. Ethan felt a profound connection to these anonymous individuals, a sense of shared humanity that transcended time and circumstance. However, these explorations revealed uncomfortable truths about Oakhaven's past. Ethan discovered records of discriminatory practices, instances where tenant farmers had been exploited and marginalized. He learned about the displacement of indigenous communities, the forced removal of people from their ancestral lands. These revelations challenged his romanticized view of Oakhaven's history, forcing him to confront the darker aspects of its legacy. Now ponder how grappling with such historical complexities can shape your present actions. Ethan realized that reclaiming Oakhaven wasn't just about preserving its beauty and productivity, but also about acknowledging its past injustices and working towards a more equitable future. He decided to establish a scholarship fund for descendants of former tenant farmers, providing them with access to education and opportunities that had been denied to their ancestors. This act of restitution, he hoped, would help to heal the wounds of the past and create a more just and inclusive community. As the seasons shifted, so too did the tenor of Ethan's clandestine operation. The initial thrill of successful acquisitions gave way to the gnawing realization that true ownership transcended mere legal titles. It involved acknowledging the intricate web of dependencies that sustained Oakhaven, recognizing that its fate was inextricably linked to the well-being of its surrounding community. A watershed moment arrived during the annual county fair, a vibrant tapestry of local traditions, agricultural displays, and spirited competitions. Ethan, initially hesitant to participate, decided to enter a selection of Oakhaven's produce, showcasing the fruits of his regenerative farming practices. To his surprise, Oakhaven's exhibit garnered considerable attention, earning accolades for its quality and its commitment to sustainable agriculture. But more significant than the awards was the opportunity to connect with other farmers, to share insights, and to learn from their experiences. He discovered a shared sense of purpose, a collective desire to preserve the region's agricultural heritage in the face of encroaching urbanization and corporate consolidation. He also encountered skepticism, those who viewed his methods as idealistic and impractical, dismissing regenerative farming as a passing fad. Regardless, Ethan found himself increasingly drawn into the community's orbit, attending town hall meetings, participating in agricultural cooperatives, and advocating for policies that supported local farmers. He recognized that Oakhaven's survival depended not only on his individual efforts, but also on the collective action of its neighbors. Conversely, the renewed attention on Oakhaven amplified the existing tensions with his siblings. Emily, fueled by envy and resentment, launched a public campaign to discredit Ethan, questioning his motives and accusing him of exploiting the family's legacy for personal gain. She circulated rumors about his financial dealings, insinuating that he was engaging in unethical practices to acquire the farm. Her actions triggered a wave of scrutiny, drawing unwanted attention from local media and government agencies. Ethan found himself under investigation, his finances and his business dealings subjected to intense scrutiny. Although the inquiries ultimately cleared him of any wrongdoing, the ordeal took a heavy toll, both emotionally and financially. Even so, Ethan's determination remained unshaken. He understood that his siblings' opposition stemmed from a deeper source, their inability to grasp the true value of Oakhaven. They saw only its monetary worth, failing to recognize its cultural, ecological, and historical significance. To illustrate this contrast, consider the case of the old barn, a weathered structure that had stood on the property for over a century. Emily and David advocated for its demolition, viewing it as an obsolete relic that was taking up valuable space. Ethan, however, saw the barn as a symbol of Oakhaven's enduring spirit, a testament to the ingenuity and craftsmanship of generations past. He decided to restore the barn, transforming it into a community center, a place where local residents could gather for social events, workshops, and educational programs. The restoration project became a catalyst for community engagement, bringing together volunteers from all walks of life to contribute their skills and their labor. As the barn's transformation progressed, Ethan witnessed a subtle shift in his siblings' attitudes. They began to see the value of his vision, recognizing that Oakhaven could serve as a source of pride and inspiration for the entire community. A seed of doubt was planted in their minds, forcing them to question their own motives and their commitment to the family's legacy. Another crucial layer in this transformation was Ethan's growing awareness of the land's indigenous history. He learned that Oakhaven was located on the ancestral territory of a local tribe, a people who had stewarded the land for millennia before the arrival of European settlers. He reached out to tribal leaders, seeking to establish a relationship of mutual respect and collaboration. He discovered that the tribe possessed a deep understanding of the land's ecological systems, knowledge that could inform his regenerative farming practices. He also learned about the tribe's cultural traditions, their ceremonies, and their spiritual connection to the land. This newfound awareness broadened his understanding of Oakhaven's history, challenging him to reconcile its past injustices with its present potential. Reflecting on this journey so far, one perceives the unfolding narrative not merely as a tale of land reclamation, but as a complex exploration of interconnected destinies. The soil, the family, the community, each element has revealed itself as inextricably bound to the others, their fates interwoven like the roots of an ancient tree. The initial pursuit of ownership has subtly morphed into a quest for understanding, a recognition that true stewardship demands a deeper engagement with the past, a profound respect for the present, and a hopeful vision for the future. The farm, once viewed as a mere commodity, has emerged as a living archive, a repository of memories and experiences that transcend individual ownership. Like an intricate tapestry, its threads are woven from the lives of countless individuals, each contributing to its rich and multifaceted narrative. The challenge, then, lies not in possessing the tapestry, but in appreciating its intricate design, in honoring the hands that crafted it, and in ensuring that its beauty endures for generations to come. Drawing these strands together, we see the individual's struggle mirrored in the land's own journey towards renewal. The regenerative practices implemented at Oakhaven serve as a metaphor for personal transformation, a testament to the power of healing and restoration. Just as the soil requires careful nurturing to regain its fertility, so too must fractured relationships be tended with compassion and understanding to mend the rifts that divide them. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes clearer, though not without its inherent complexities. The reconciliation of personal ambition with communal responsibility remains a delicate balancing act, demanding a willingness to compromise, to collaborate, and to prioritize the greater good over individual gain. The true measure of success, it seems, lies not in accumulating wealth or power, but in fostering a sense of belonging, in creating a legacy of shared prosperity and enduring values. As we pivot towards the final reflection, consider the cumulative effect of these interwoven narratives. The story of Oakhaven is, in essence, a microcosm of the human experience, a testament to our capacity for both destruction and creation, for both betrayal and forgiveness. It is a reminder that the choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow, that our actions have consequences that ripple far beyond our immediate sphere of influence. The enduring question, then, is not whether Ethan will ultimately succeed in reclaiming Oakhaven, but whether he will be able to forge a new path forward, one that honors the past, embraces the present, and inspires hope for the future. The answer, it seems, lies not in the land itself, but in the human heart, in our capacity for empathy, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the values that truly define us. The dust, once a symbol of decay and broken promises, now danced with a different cadence, a subtle shimmer in the golden light of a revitalized dawn. It carried the scent of newly turned earth, the promise of a harvest born not just from the land, but from a heart transformed. Ethan stood on the porch of the old farmhouse, no longer a solitary figure battling against fate, but a steward, a guardian, connected to the land and its people by bonds far stronger than any legal document could convey. The battle for Oakhaven had never truly been about ownership. It had been a journey inward, a crucible in which old resentments were burned away, revealing a deeper understanding of family, community, and the enduring power of place. He had sought to reclaim a farm, but in doing so, he had rediscovered himself, forging a new identity rooted in responsibility, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to the future. His siblings, initially blinded by greed and resentment, had slowly begun to see the world through different eyes. They witnessed the community rallying around Oakhaven, the tangible results of Ethan's regenerative practices, the quiet dignity of a land restored to its former glory. The walls that had separated them for so long began to crumble, replaced by tentative bridges of understanding and forgiveness. The inheritance they once so fiercely desired paled in comparison to the legacy Ethan was creating, a legacy not of wealth, but of enduring value. Oakhaven, once teetering on the brink of oblivion, now stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the transformative power of human connection. The farm had become a living classroom, a place where visitors could learn about sustainable agriculture, explore the region's rich history, and connect with the natural world. It was a reminder that even in the face of adversity, renewal is always possible, that even the most barren soil can be brought back to life with care and dedication. The true victory, however, lay not in the land itself, but in the hearts of those who had been touched by its story. Ethan had learned that ownership is a fleeting concept, a temporary stewardship entrusted to us for a brief moment in time. What truly matters is what we do with that trust, how we use our resources to create a more just and sustainable world. The echoes of the past still lingered, whispering tales of injustice and hardship, but they were now tempered by a newfound sense of hope. Oakhaven stood as a symbol of reconciliation, a testament to the power of healing and forgiveness. The land, once scarred by neglect and division, now bore witness to a new era of collaboration and understanding. The dust continues to swirl, carrying with it the seeds of change, the promise of a future where community triumphs over division, where sustainability triumphs over exploitation, and where the enduring power of place unites us all. The sun sets, casting long shadows that stretch across the fields, a reminder of the journey's end, but also a promise of a new beginning. The true practice, the ongoing work of stewardship and connection begins now, with each sunrise, with each season, with each act of kindness and compassion. The land awaits, and the story continues, written not in ink, but in the living soil, in the hearts of those who call Oakhaven home.